Have you ever felt like someone just disappeared from your life without a warning? Do you find yourself wondering why certain people suddenly ignore you, even when you've done nothing wrong? What does it really mean when someone distances themselves? Is it something you should take personally, or could it be a sign of something deeper? Before we dive in, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe to the channel for more insights on self-improvement and Stoic wisdom. Let's uncover the truth behind why people ignore you and how to respond with confidence and clarity. 1. The unexpected silence. Imagine this. You're having a normal day, texting a friend you've known for years. You send a message, expecting a reply in the usual banter you both share. But this time, there's nothing. Hours pass. Then a day. You shrug it off. They're probably busy. Life gets hectic, right? But then another day passes. Still no response. You check the message to see if it was delivered. It was. You send a follow-up just to check in. Still nothing. You start to notice they haven't viewed your Instagram story. They haven't liked your latest post. And when you call them, it rings, but they never answer. That's when a heavy feeling starts to set in. Confusion. Maybe even embarrassment. Are they mad at you? Did you do something wrong? You replay every conversation, every moment, trying to figure out where things went sideways. But there's no clue, no argument, no falling out you can recall. Just silence. Cold, deliberate silence. The worst part isn't the unanswered messages. It's the uncertainty. It's the not knowing. That's what keeps you up at night. How can someone go from being part of your daily life to acting like you don't even exist? How can someone who once called you a friend simply disappear without explanation? The truth is harsh, but important. Being ignored is rarely about you. It's about them. People don't just vanish from your life because of something you said in passing or a meme you shared. Most often, their silence is more about where they are emotionally than anything you've done. Some people shut down when they don't know how to communicate their feelings. Others disappear because they're overwhelmed by their own problems. And yes, sometimes people ghost because they're trying to avoid conflict, responsibility, or guilt. They think silence is easier than honesty. But that's not maturity, it's avoidance. In other cases, the silence is a form of control. It's manipulative. It's designed to leave you wondering, doubting yourself, and chasing their validation. When someone uses silence to gain emotional power over you, they're not just being distant. They're being cruel. And it's not your job to fix that. You deserve a connection that feels safe. You deserve communication that doesn't leave you guessing. And you deserve to be surrounded by people who don't make you feel invisible when things get uncomfortable. So when someone chooses to ignore you without reason, let them. Don't chase. Don't beg. Don't twist yourself into knots trying to understand silence that was never meant to be understood. Instead, focus on what you can control, your own response. You can grieve the connection. You can feel sad, but you can also reclaim your peace. Their silence is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their inability to show up. In the end, the unexpected silence becomes a strange kind of gift. It shows you who's real. It reveals who's capable of mutual respect and who isn't. And most of all, it reminds you to never shrink yourself in the hope of being acknowledged. Some people walk away without a word, and that's all you need to know. 2. The power play, testing your reaction. Some people don't disappear because they're busy. They don't ignore you because they forgot. Sometimes it's a deliberate move, a calculated silence meant to stir something inside you. This kind of behavior isn't always rooted in cruelty or malice. It's often about control. It's a silent test to see how much power they hold over your emotions. The moment they go quiet, they're watching, waiting, not for your words, but for your reaction. Will you chase after them? Will you double text, triple text, analyze their every online move? Will you scroll through past conversations looking for signs of where it all went wrong? That's exactly what they want to see. Whether you'll lose your balance in their absence. Because if you do, they know they've got you. And for people who thrive on emotional power, nothing is more validating than watching someone unravel because of their silence. But here's where things get interesting. What happens if you don't react? What if you stay calm, grounded, and continue with their life as if nothing changed. No dramatic messages. No desperate attempts for attention. Just quiet strength. That's when the power dynamic shifts. That's when the silence becomes uncomfortable for them. Because people who play games expect a certain outcome. And when they don't get it, it unsettles them. Remaining unbothered isn't about pretending not to care. It's about genuinely placing your peace above someone else's games. It's about understanding your worth so deeply that someone's temporary absence doesn't make you question your value. That kind of confidence can't be faked, and it can't be taken. It comes from within. This isn't easy, of course. When someone you care about pulls away or starts ignoring you, the natural response of confusion, even hurt. You want closure, an explanation, or just a sign that it wasn't all in your head. But the more you try to force answers, the more power you hand over. And the truth is, not everyone deserves that level of access to your inner world. Not everyone should get to dictate your emotional weather. So what should you do instead? Focus inward. Pour your attention into your own growth, your own peace, your own joy. Let their silence echo into a void where you're too busy building yourself to notice. This isn't about revenge or pretending to be cold. It's about reclaiming your energy from people who misuse it. Ironically, when you stop chasing, when you no longer react, those same people often come back. Not because they suddenly value you more, but because they've lost their grip. And you'll have a choice. Do you let them back in, or do you keep walking? Either way, the power is yours. True confidence doesn't scream or beg. It doesn't panic when someone pulls away. It simply stands firm, knowing that silence can't shake what's rooted in self-respect. That's the ultimate power play, not needing to play at all. 3. The selfish connection when they no longer benefit. Not all relationships are built on love, respect, or genuine connection. Some are quietly rooted in self-interest, veiled behind smiles, shared laughs, and promises that sound sincere until the usefulness fades. These are the relationships that thrive only when you're beneficial to someone else. As long as you're providing something, emotional support, validation, resources, status, or even just convenience, they stick around. But once you stop serving their purpose, they vanish, often without explanation or apology. It's one of the more difficult truths to face. You begin to realize that what you thought was a meaningful bond was actually a transaction in disguise. The friendship that seemed solid, it only lasted as long as you were giving more than you received. The person who once called you every day, they disappeared the moment their crisis passed, or someone else offered them more. The appreciation, the attention, even the kindness, they were all conditional. At first, it stings. It's confusing. You find yourself questioning what went wrong, or whether you did something to drive them away. You replay moments in your head, searching for clues. But the truth is simpler than we often want to admit. They were never really there for you. They were there for what you did for them. And once that stopped, so did the connection. Recognizing this kind of relationship can be sobering. You start to notice the subtle signs you ignored before, the one-sided conversations, the lack of reciprocity, the way your needs were always minimized while theirs were front and center. You realize how many times you showed up for them, even when it was inconvenient or emotionally draining, and how rarely they did the same. But while this realization hurts, it also frees you. Because once you see a relationship for what it truly was, you stop trying to revive it. You stop reaching out, stop explaining yourself, stop hoping they'll come back and be the person you thought they were. You stop offering parts of yourself to people who only value what they can extract from you. This clarity creates space for healthier connections, ones based on mutual respect, shared values, and authentic care. It also teaches you to guard your energy more wisely. You begin to ask deeper questions about the people in your life. Are they here because of who you are, or because of what you offer? Do they celebrate you even when you're not doing something for them? Do they stay close when you're struggling, or only when you're shining? There's power in being honest about these dynamics. It doesn't make you cold. It makes you conscious. It helps you draw boundaries, set standards, and protect your peace. Most importantly, it reminds you that your worth isn't measured by your usefulness to others. In the end, losing a relationship that was only ever transactional isn't really a loss. It's a revelation. And sometimes being left behind is how you finally move forward. 4. Influence and gossip when others decide for them. There are moments in life when silence speaks louder than words. One day, someone you consider close might begin to drift away, not because of something you did, but because of something they heard. It starts subtly, a delayed response to a message, a strange look that wasn't there before, or a sudden change in how they interact with you. And then, almost overnight, they're gone. Sometimes, people stop talking to you not because of conflict, not because of an argument, but because someone else planted a seed of doubt in their mind. It could have been a rumor, a twisted version of the truth, or simply another person's opinion dressed up as fact. These kinds of situations are painful because the rejection doesn't stem from your actions, but from someone else's influence. And yet, you're the one left to deal with the consequences. What's even more difficult to process is how quickly some people accept those external voices. They don't come to you to ask for your side. They don't give you the chance to explain or clarify. Instead, they allow someone else's words to override their own experiences with you. And that's when the truth becomes painfully clear. Their loyalty was conditional, and their trust wasn't as strong as it seemed. It's easy to get caught up in wondering what was said about you, who said it, and why. You may even start to doubt yourself, asking if you could have done something differently to prevent it. But the truth is, people who truly know and value you don't walk away because of whispers. They don't let third parties dictate their relationships. They come to you, speak to you directly, and give you the benefit of the doubt. They defend you when your name is brought up in shady conversations. That's what loyalty looks like. There's something deeply disappointing about realizing that someone you trusted was so easily turned against you. But as harsh as it is, it's also revealing. People who disappear because of gossip are showing you that they were never fully invested in the first place. They were fair-weather friends, present only when things were easy, but quick to retreat at the first sign of discomfort or controversy. And sometimes, the ones who influence others to turn against you do it intentionally. Maybe they were jealous of your connection. Maybe they felt threatened by the bond you shared. Or maybe they simply wanted to manipulate the narrative for their own gain. Whatever the motive, it speaks more about their character than yours. You can't control what people say behind your back, and you can't always stop others from believing it. But what you can control is how you respond. Instead of chasing after explanations or trying to win someone back who didn't even give you the courtesy of a conversation, choose peace. Let their silence be their answer. The people who are meant to be in your life will ask, not assume. They'll stay, not stray. In the end, real connections can't be broken by rumors. They're tested by them. And those that survive, those are the ones worth keeping. 5. The fear of your growth. Your personal growth can be unsettling to others, not because you've done something wrong, but because your progress shines a light on their lack of it. When you start improving your habits, developing emotional intelligence, setting boundaries, or chasing goals with new focus, it can feel threatening to the people who are still stuck in their old patterns. Your evolution becomes a mirror, and not everyone likes what they see reflected back. It's a strange feeling when the very people you thought would be proud of you begin to act distant, dismissive, or even judgmental. You might hear comments like, "You've changed," with a tone that makes it sound like an accusation instead of a compliment. And they're right, you have changed. You're not who you used to be. You've outgrown certain conversations, behaviors, and environments. That's growth. And while it's something to be proud of, it can also be a lonely road. Sometimes people don't leave your life because of something you did. They leave because your evolution makes them uncomfortable. They'd rather keep things the way they were. Familiar, predictable, unchallenged. Your new mindset, your discipline, your inner peace. It disrupts the dynamic, especially if they're not ready to change themselves. This doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means they're in a different place. Maybe they're afraid to confront their own fears, insecurities, or regrets. Maybe they build an identity around staying the same, and watching you rise threatens the stability of that identity. Growth, by nature, is disruptive, and not everyone is ready for disruption. It's important to remember that your growth is not something to hide, shrink, or apologize for. You're not responsible for making other people comfortable at the cost of your own progress. You don't need to dim your light to make others feel less insecure. The people meant for you will never be intimidated by your growth. They'll be inspired by it. They'll celebrate your wins, support your evolution, and grow alongside you. Letting go of relationships that no longer align with who you're becoming is part of the journey. It can hurt, yes. It can feel like loss. But in reality, it's a clearing. It's life making room for better connections, ones rooted in mutual respect, shared values, and a desire to see each other thrive. Growth acts as a filter. It separates the ones who are truly in your corner from the ones who are only comfortable with a version of you that no longer exists. As painful as that realization can be, it's also a gift. It gives you clarity. It teaches you not to beg for closeness, not to chase after people who pull away when you rise. You learn to stand tall in your transformation, even if it means standing alone for a while. Keep evolving, keep rising, keep becoming. The people who are meant to stay in your life will meet you where you're headed, not where you used to be. 6. When your truth exposes them. There comes a point in certain relationships where your clarity becomes a threat. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because your presence, your honesty, and your refusal to play along with illusions begins to unravel a mask someone else has worked so hard to maintain. People who live behind facades, those who manipulate, deceive, and control, thrive in environments where truth is ignored, where people are too afraid or too uncertain to question their behavior. But the moment you speak up, or even just see them clearly for who they really are, everything begins to shift. It doesn't always happen in a dramatic confrontation. Sometimes it's subtle. A question you ask that hits too close to the truth. A boundary you set that disrupts their control. A calm refusal to be manipulated. And then they vanish. They might ghost you. They might cut you off. They might blame you for something trivial to justify their exit. But the underlying truth is this. Your presence became a mirror they couldn't stand to look into. This kind of departure can be confusing, especially if you cared about them. You might find yourself wondering what you did wrong, replaying the last conversation, trying to decode the silence. But in reality, their disappearance is not about your failure. It's about your strength. Your truth exposed a lie they were living, and instead of facing that truth, they ran from it. That's not your burden to carry. It takes courage to see people clearly, to move beyond the version of them you wanted to believe in and face the version that was actually in front of you. That's not an easy thing to do, especially when emotions are involved. But it's one of the most powerful steps you can take for your own growth. When you stop pretending, when you stop making excuses for someone else's behavior, you reclaim your peace. And sometimes reclaiming your peace means letting people go who were only ever there to disrupt it. Their absence might hurt at first. There may be moments where you miss the comfort of the routine, even if it wasn't healthy. But in time, you'll come to see that their exit was a blessing in disguise. Toxic connections have a way of draining your energy, warping your self-perception, and keeping you stuck in cycles that feel safe but are anything but. When those connections break, they leave behind space. Space for reflection, for healing, and eventually, for more genuine relationships to enter your life. There is deep power in living your truth, even when it costs you people. Because the ones who leave when you're being authentic were never truly aligned with you. They were aligned with a version of you they could manipulate or control. When you outgrow that version, they lose their grip and they leave. Let them. In the end, your honesty doesn't drive good people away. It repels the ones who never had good intentions to begin with. And that's not a loss. That's freedom. 7. A blessing in disguise. Being ignored by someone you care about can feel like a sharp, unexpected wound. It's unsettling, confusing. Sometimes it makes you question your value, your importance, or what you might have done wrong. You replay conversations in your head, scan your messages for clues, and wonder when the shift happened. Silence can echo louder than words ever could. But here's the truth most people don't realize in the moment. Being ignored isn't always a curse. Sometimes it's a disguised blessing, one that doesn't feel like a gift at first, but ultimately protects your heart and clears your path. It's the universe stepping in and removing what you were too emotionally invested to let go of yourself. When someone consistently ignores you, it's not always about them being busy or unaware. Often, it's a silent message about how much or how little they truly value your presence. And while it may be tempting to chase after answers, to send one more text, or to try and fix things, doing so only drains your energy and prolongs the inevitable. People who truly care make time. They don't leave you hanging in doubt. They show up not just in words, but in consistent actions. The pain of being ignored reveals something deeper. It shows you who's willing to be in your life without needing to be begged or reminded. It reveals who sees your worth and who takes it for granted. And once that truth surfaces, it becomes a turning point. You begin to understand that not everyone is meant to stay. Some people are simply passing through to teach you lessons about self-worth, boundaries, and what real love actually looks like. Letting go of those who ignore you isn't about holding a grudge. It's about honoring yourself. It's choosing peace over confusion, self-respect over desperation. Because the right people won't make you question your value. They won't disappear when it's inconvenient or only show up when they need something. The right people make you feel seen, heard, and appreciated. They bring light into your life instead of leaving you in emotional limbo. Instead of mourning those who drift away, shift your focus to those who stay. Look at the friends who check in without being asked, the ones who remember the little things about you, who make you feel safe just by being there. Choose relationships that nourish your spirit, not ones that drain it. Invest in people who match your energy, who communicate with honesty, and who love without games or manipulation. Being ignored teaches you to stop begging for crumbs when you deserve the whole meal. It teaches you that silence is often an answer in itself, and one you should listen to. Over time, you'll see that being ignored pushed you in a direction where you could heal, grow, and become stronger. It's not rejection, it's redirection. So yes, it stings, but that sting is often the beginning of a breakthrough. What feels like abandonment is sometimes just life's way of clearing space for better conversations, healthier connections, and people who truly see you. In the end, being ignored may hurt, but it also teaches you to never settle for anything less than genuine. And that lesson? That's the real blessing in disguise. At the end of the day, people's actions reflect who they are, not who you are. If someone suddenly starts ignoring you, don't take it as a sign of your inadequacy. See it as an opportunity to refine your circle, strengthen your self-worth, and embrace the ones who truly matter. If you found this video insightful, hit the like button. Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more content on personal growth and Stoic wisdom. Stay strong, stay confident, and never let someone's silence define your worth. See you in the next one.